Hi, I'm Badushi, UCLA Department of Atmospheric and Oceanic Sciences graduate, class of 2003. I did my PhD with Professor Richard Thorne, and I'd like to thank Professor Thorne, who is sorely missed, as well as Professors Favell and Lyons, who were on my dissertation committee. I also want to thank Professor Paulson for inviting me to be your commencement speaker. This is a great honor. Now, I think we all realize that getting you to where you are today, getting me to where I am today, has been a team effort. The faculty and staff in the department have all come together and given us the knowledge and the skills that we need to move ahead professionally. So congratulations, you guys, you did it. You put in so much work. Now, let me ask you a question. That very first night that you have where you're not going to have anything to do, no homework, no papers to write, no code, you can have this amazing sense of accomplishment and this amazing sense of freedom. What are you going to do with that time? For myself, what I did was I put my kids to bed and then I watched the season finale of The Bachelorette. It doesn't sound super exciting, but I did have a glass of wine, so that was pretty cool. Once that evening of freedom is over, you're going to have a reality check. In my case, I started wondering, what am I going to do with this degree and where is my life going to go professionally? And let's be honest, in your case, we are not giving you a very easy world to step into, right? There's a lot of uncertainty. It's not quite clear where things are going to end up. But I want to give you a sense of hope and optimism because you guys have some amazing skills that can be applied to a very new up and coming sector where there's going to be a huge demand for the kinds of skills you're getting within the department. So this is where I get to talk about my favorite topic. I actually have two favorite topics, my kids and outer space. And just to talk about my kids really quickly, I'm doing this as a pre-recorded video for you rather than live because at this very moment, as you're watching this, my own daughter, who was born when I was a student at UCLA, she's actually graduating from college herself. But back to you. What about you guys and space? Your generation is going to engage with space in an unprecedented way. You already use your cell phones to connect with satellites hundreds, if not thousands of times a day for location services, right? Your phones tell you where you need to go, they tell you where the nearest restaurants are, and they're constantly pinging your location for all the apps that are on your phone. When I started at UCLA, we didn't have these kinds of maps. We actually had paper maps, and I remember distinctly putting one on the hood of my car and circling with a highlighter where I needed to go. At that point, if you had told me that this huge paper map would have been replaced by a phone that fit in the palm of my hand, a phone that would not only tell me where I was, but how bad traffic was on the 405, I just would not have believed it. But yeah, so I've been in this sector now for like 30 years, and I want to tell you that space is coming and you guys are going to be a part of it. I'm so confident about this that I actually told my husband that for our 50th wedding anniversary, we're going to go into outer space. For our 25th, we went to Bali. And for our 50th, I am going to take him off planet. We're going to get into a space plane and orbit the Earth, and there'll be a lot of options by that point. You'll probably be in your 40s or 50s at that point, and space tourism, it's going to be a real thing. You're probably already aware that satellites are used to image the Earth and measure aerosols to be able to monitor and mitigate climate change. There are thousands of satellites that are out there right now. And in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have tens of thousands of satellites out there monitoring the Earth to try and understand what's going on with the weather. And ironically, because of climate change, we're also going to need the unique vantage point of space to be able to monitor crops. Traditional models of when crops are ready to go to market no longer work. What you have to do is get real-time data and take measurements, hyperspectral imaging of these crops to try and understand when they're actually going to mature. This is important not just for your table, for the supermarket shelf, and also for large farmers, but this has enormous impact on subsistence farmers in poorer countries, people who have a small plot of land where they need to figure out how to get their crops to market. Typically, 40% of crops spoil before they even get to market. And what these farmers do is they have to rent a truck, and then eventually when the truck is ready to be loaded, then send it off. And if you can give them real-time data, they don't have to wait to rent a truck to get their goods to market. They can actually get the vehicle when they need it, saving themselves tons of money and also ensuring that their crops will get to market before they spoil. The transferable skills you guys have acquired through the department are going to be really critical in a few areas of space technology that are developing very rapidly. One of those is pharmaceutical development. At this point, people model different kinds of medications and protein crystals on the ground to treat diseases such as heart disease and diabetes. But because these are large, tenuous structures, you can't actually build them on the ground because of the pull of gravity. So what they're starting to do is look at these structures in outer space where there is no problem with gravity, where you can build out these base compounds and then structure your medication and bring it back down to Earth to help people. Another area where your skills will be really important is mining. My older daughter is a geologist, and she tells me that the environmental impact of mining is terrible. The chemicals that leach into groundwater have a real effect on the population, and the land just gets razed and stripped. Many companies are looking now at mining the asteroids and the moon and Mars, and this is really cool because a lot of what exists here on Earth exists in outer space. The Earth and asteroids are very similar in terms of composition, but asteroids have not been geologically formed because they have very little gravity. So they contain some minerals in a very differentiated way that would be very easy to get and bring back to Earth. We're going to need people who can model these asteroids. We're going to need people who can understand how to figure out the internal structure so we can figure out where to drill to get what we want. One of the really cool things about being a graduate of our department is not only do you learn in the classroom about climate change and atmospheric science and space physics, you also get a chance to develop very important transferable skills in areas such as public speaking. One of the things that we had to do when I was in grad school was get up once a quarter and give a talk in front of our professors and the other students. And that was something that I hadn't really thought I would need to develop as a skill when I started grad school. But let me tell you, when you get up there and you have to defend what you're saying and you have professors peppering you with questions, you get really pretty comfortable doing that. And I think for me, in my career, that's been really effective in getting the word out about space and space training and education. Beyond what you've learned in the department, I'm sure you have a lot of positive memories of social situations, social interactions that you've had in the department. I remember very distinctly when I figured out the wonders of chocolate-covered espresso beans at Kirchhoff and going over there with my fellow grad students before we had to finish a problem set. I'm still friends with a lot of those people. And as a matter of fact, I just talked yesterday to another graduate from our department who had the same advisor as me, and we've just gone into the second round of doing a proposal for International Space Station research for an educational project. If I've done my job correctly today, you now think of the space sector as a tangible future professional opportunity. I hope that you go and talk to friends and that you talk to family and you think about anytime you see a story in the news about what your possible role could be in that particular project or other projects that you might even dream of. So yeah, congratulations, you guys. You did it. You've worked very hard and you deserve this. So in closing, I just want to say, once you have that night of freedom and you finish watching that mindless show, I want you to step outside, look up at the night sky, and think about how you can use your UCLA education to leverage space technology to help the citizens of planet Earth. Congrats again.